Would I be the asshole if I stopped paying the utilities for my sister's apartment? So, I, 26 female, and currently a stay-at-home mom, but my husband, 27 male, makes a comfortable salary that we can still afford to take care of our baby, as well as help out my family without it being too much trouble on the finances. My younger sister, 19 female, we'll call her Cece, is going to college in another state for uni and is currently a sophomore. She got accepted into a university with a really good art program, but couldn't afford to dorm and pay for her school's tuition with her loan and savings. So my husband and I bought her a decent apartment, paid for full in cash, in a good area so that she can commute to school. It's technically under our name, but we let her treat it as it's her own, so she can feel independent. We pay for everything, including the utilities, even down to the Wi-Fi. So she lives there rent-free and is able to save her money that she makes from working part-time and focus on school.
Wow.
But the other day, I found out that she's not even living in the apartment and is instead living with her boyfriend. She apparently has been for the last school year and just didn't tell anyone. And she's also renting out the apartment to one of her friends.
Oh.
And we have basically been paying for a stranger to live there. I only found this out after a package I ordered for her got returned to me. It was a wellness package with some snacks and stuff. Usually I Amazon things over, but I actually packed this one myself, so I sent it with UPS, and then it got returned. Cece's justification for this was that she, quote, needs the money for her graduation trip that she's saving up for, which is literally in years, so I don't know why it's such a big deal yet. But my husband and I don't want to be paying for her friend to live there while she lives for free with her boyfriend anyways. I don't want to kick Cece's friend out of the apartment since she's an innocent party in this and leave her stranded, but maybe if I take her on as a renter, we can work this out separately. Would I be the asshole if I cut Cece off financially?
No. No. What is she doing? She's taking advantage and making a profit off of you.
Right? Yeah, so I got an update for you. Okay. So Wednesday morning of this week, I did what a lot of the commenters have advised me on. My husband and I drove over to the apartment without giving Cece a heads up. I decided against leaving a note on the door and ended up just knocking on it about 10 in the morning to talk to her friend. You guys called it. It wasn't actually her friend. It was just one of her classmates in her economics course that she'd been renting it out without a formal agreement. Let's call him Jay. Jay's a trans man, but Cece was using his previous pronouns as a half-truce, I guess, for telling us about him. Anyways, Jay has been paying Cece about half the market value of the rent in the area, $1,500 a month, as the average ones go for about $3,000.
Whoa.
He let my husband and I in to talk, and everything in the apartment was in order. All the furniture that I had bought Cece prior to her move-in was still there and in good shape. Nothing seemed broken or unkept. My husband and I talked about the situation with him, and Jay told us that he hadn't known that Cece wasn't actually the owner of the place and was just trusting her in her role as a friend. I'm letting my husband work out the details of drawing up a formal rental agreement because I'm busy dealing with Cece and trying to get her to repay us back for the rent. My mom had to get involved and ended up checking my sister's savings account, as Cece still uses accounts that my mom has set up on since she was a minor. She hasn't done this prior because she doesn't like to invade our privacy, but she finally had enough of Cece's unwillingness to be forthcoming, plus her lies about the whole situation. Based on the deposit that my mom can access from over the past couple months, Cece has been depositing the full $1,500 of Jay's rent into her account each month. In total, her savings are about $32,000, with $18,000 being from the rent.
What?
I'm not sure if she's claiming this on her taxes, but honestly, I don't even want to bother with finding out. I just want her to pay us back for the year of lies and deceit. My mom has already taken $8,000 from the savings account, since the account still has my mom's name on it, and transferred it to my husband's and I's joint account, which obviously pissed Cece off. She threatened legal action for theft, but my mother-in-law, who's a divorce attorney, put us in contact with one of her old friends who's a real estate attorney in the area, and essentially had her explain to Cece we could hit her back with over this illegal rent situation. All of this to say, Cece's going to start paying us back in exchange for us keeping further legal actions out of consideration. But we're going to have a family friend actually draw up a contract to solidify this agreement so we can get the money back. Thank you guys so much for your suggestions and support. It really helped me and my husband come up with a solution for this situation. And in turn, I think this will be good for us as it shows we have supportive parents / in-laws, and finally will give Cece the opportunity to actually acknowledge her wrongdoings, which is probably going to be a first.
$32,000 in savings?
I'm sorry, I thought you were saving up for a trip.
I thought she was broke. She said, oh, I need to save up. Like, I'm broke.
Yeah.
Our rock-solid relationship imploded in a single night, and I'm completely blindsided. My partner, 25 male, is my 26 female rock, and I'm his. Literally, he tells me that all the time, including yesterday. We've been together for 5 years and have a truly wonderful relationship. Always talking, laughing, comfortable with one another, able to communicate healthy, even when we disagree. After surviving abuse as a child and struggling with unhealthy romantic relationships in the past, the fact that we love each other in a respectful, secure, and profoundly healthy way is truly my biggest blessing, and I wake up every day so happy and grateful for him. He is an incredible man with so much drive, intelligence, kindness, and gifts to give the world. About 1.5 years ago, it came up for the first time that we saw ourselves getting married one day. It was such a beautiful moment, and it rocked my world to have been vulnerable, said those words, and have him say them too. Since then, it's been something incredibly happy that I get to hold in my heart and look forward to. The subject has come up sporadically since then, but I haven't wanted to push it too far since we are very much young and it is very much an eventually thing. Both of our parents are divorced and his come from money. He got a lot of strong advice growing up not to marry young and to protect his assets, to see it from a more financial view than I have ever thought of. Nevertheless, the thought makes me happy, and we often daydream about the future we'll build together, the little house in New Hampshire we hope to buy, and the dogs and chickens we'll have. These are conversations he participates in and brings up on his own all the time. I want to be able to talk casually about the marriage aspect too. Go to bed with a sleepy, can't wait to marry you, or love of my life. But for some reason, recently, whenever the subject has come up, he's clammed up and made it feel really serious. This culminated maybe 2 months ago with a really weird conversation in which I sensed he might not have processed what marriage really means in the way that I had, and that he wasn't ready to be talking about this in the way that I was, or as much as he had let on. I told him I don't want to put a gun to his head. This is just something that makes me happy to think about and talk about, and I tell him everything. I said I love him for him. I'd wait as long as he needs, but that I firmly didn't want to bring up the subject again until he was comfortable discussing it. I wanted to relieve the pressure on him, and I haven't mentioned it since. Well, yesterday we spent a really lovely day getting lunch and hiking with my family. They live far away, so we don't see them very often. My stepsister and her fiancé were there as well, and of course there was a little bit of light conversation about their upcoming wedding. My boyfriend was his usual friendly, easygoing self. I noticed he seemed quiet on the way home and later that evening, so I asked if he was worried about work, but he just said he was tired from a long day traveling. I made him a drink, kissed him on the forehead like I always do, and promised we could do whatever we wanted to relax that night. Just did what I normally do when I can tell he's stressed, try to show him empathy and take care of him. But then as I'm making dinner, he comes over to me and drops this bomb. He came over to me crying and said spending time with an engaged couple and even barely talking about their wedding had sent him into a panic, and he didn't know if he could ever see himself getting married. I was completely blindsided. I tried to parse what he was saying, but it was like my brain was stuck. Evidently, he had been locking himself in the office all week crying about this. I kept asking him why he would say he wanted to marry me if he didn't. He said he was lying, basically. That he wanted to give me what he knew I wanted to make me happy. I could only just stare at him with an open mouth. I kept trying to pinpoint if he was saying to me, I don't know if I'll be ready to be married for a long time, or I don't think I'll ever be ready to be married. And I really don't think he knows himself. I don't think he has put any kind of mature thought into marriage at all. It was like talking to a scared child. He kept saying stuff about not knowing where his career will lead or if he'll have money. He has a great job, an outstanding network, and is definitely not poor. Neither of us are. And I was just like, we're a partnership. You wanted to be with me yesterday. You want to be with me today. Do you want to be with me tomorrow? Yes, he said. I said, well, that's all that matters. We have a life, we love, and we'll take on a future together when it comes. I'm devastated. He left for his mother's house, and I don't know when he'll be back. I cannot take another sleeping pill, or my heart will stop, but I can't sleep a wink. I literally spiked 100-degree fever and spent all night sweating and freezing. I had no idea it was possible to be in so much pain. It makes me physically sick. This person is the bedrock of my life. We have always had rock-solid confidence that we can trust each other, be vulnerable around each other, and be our full authentic selves without inhibition or fear or judgment. We share everything together and we are the best friends. He even said that over and over as he sobbed, and he told me he loved me, that he didn't want to get married. Hours ago, I had the most beautiful and solid relationship in the world. Now I don't know if we're going to break up. I'm reeling. I feel like I've been stabbed in the back by my safe space. The earth fell out from under me and I don't even know what to think anymore.
Oh, man. That's so rough.
Okay, there's an update.
Okay.
I just want to say thank you to everyone who commented. I was in an absolute state while writing my original post and truly thought 8 people would see it. I read every comment. The kind and empathetic advice I received gave me a little bit of hope and peace as I waited, and that was basically the only reason I was able to eat lunch those first 2 days. I want to thank you all for that. The long and short of it is, he left me. I called him the next day, asking when he would come home. He told me he needed a day to think, but he was talking like we were broken up. I asked him to at least tell me if we were still together. He wouldn't. So yeah, he just torched it in pretty much an instant. I had been leaning on a lot of kind words I received from folks who reassured me that one fight does not need to derail everything we've built over the last 5 years. I took the perspective that the question of marriage was something that we'd need to discuss seriously and hopefully through therapy to arrive at what both of us wants. I had no idea he would just unpend the table with no warning, without ever expressing his feelings or giving us the chance to address it with even a single conversation. So many of the comments I received revolved around the question, is not marrying him a deal breaker for you? Would you be okay with simply a long-term relationship? I don't know. I would have to search my soul for that answer. But I didn't even get the chance. He made that choice for me. 5 beautiful years and he just fucking left. Needless to say, there were a million better ways to do this while honoring his fears and feelings while still showing me an ounce of respect as his partner and someone who loves him. This owed a conversation, and even if we still reached that same conclusion, I would understand. But this, it's not what I deserve. I did see him one night and we have been texting. He said all this awful stuff about how he was just trying to tell me everything I wanted to hear and how I wouldn't like the person he really is underneath all his people pleasing. He's got a lot of this, don't talk about it, just run in his family, including in his parent relationship. My partner has always said he doesn't respect this kind of behavior and talked vehemently about how his values are different. Then he just did the same thing. Although when I wrote my original post, I wanted nothing more than to continue living our happy day-to-day together, but given this entire nightmare, space is the only thing that can do anything for either of us at this point. He has no idea what he's feeling or how to talk about it in a healthy way. My dad had the simplest take and yet said it best. He's immature. He needs to work on himself, and I hope he does. As for me, I'd be an idiot to still want to marry him, knowing this is the kind of thing he's capable of. So we've got to break our lease. Apartment hunting while still reeling from this 180 flip of my life has been terrible. We moved out to the city together and pretty much every friend I have met is through him. So I'm really scared it will mean losing a lot of our people I love too. It's going to be expensive and miserable to live on my own, and I'm still grieving my sweet love and the life I thought we were going to have together. I gave 5 years of my life and so much of myself to being one half of that partnership. I never wanted to be on my own again, and now I am. I still love him, but I can't wait around while he fixes himself, or pine foolishly, hoping one day he'll wake up and be ready for me. I don't want to stand on my own 2 feet, but that's just what I have to do. My question now is, how do I move on? If/when do we eventually talk? What can I even say?
Holy shit, that's rough. Your question, how do you move on? One day at a time. And what do you say to him? Honestly, nothing. Like, you're dead to me. You're done. You're cut.